Hey pals, it's Waltek. Long time no see. Finally dropping a video. This time it's going to be on the GTX 5050 Ti. This card wasn't even that good when it came out. So now we're really going to be putting it to the test in 2025. This card hails all the way back to March 2011. And it is so old that it actually doesn't even have an NVENC encoder chip in it, so I recorded all the footage externally on my other computer just to make sure we got the best frame rates possible. This thing doesn't look half bad on paper. It has 192 cores, 32 TMUs, 24 ROPs. Where it is really bad nowadays is it only has 1 GB of video memory. Ooh, power. And does have GDDR5, and it is on a 192-bit bus, so actually doesn't look that bad. The issue is the age, and the age means a higher lithography. The process size on this chip was 40 nanometers, which nowadays, that is really bad. Your modern card usually is around 7, maybe even 5. The reason that's important is because if you have a chip with the same size, you could fit in more instructions, like data in a pipeline, more instructions per cycle, which means it could do more in the same amount of time, even if on paper it doesn't look as impressive. But still keep in mind, these specs are still pretty lousy. I would say they're mostly comparable to the Steam Deck GPU, but the problem with that is that the Steam Deck GPU, again, is on a lower lithography, which makes it more capable than this thing will be able to do. But enough of the yapology. You're here to see some benchmarks on this old card and what it can do for under $20. You can see for yourself. First game we decided to give a try was Skyrim Special Edition. On average, we got 45 frames per second, at minimum we got 23, and at maximum we got 60. I turned VSync off, but for some reason it insisted that it was capped at 60. At our 1% lows we had 8 frames, and at our 0.1 we had 2 frames, which for a Bethesda game, usually that's expected even on high-end systems to have some weird dips here and there. Speaking of Bethesda games, the next one we got is Fallout New Vegas. If you're a gamer like me, usually you like to play more older titles, so this card might just be for you. I couldn't actually even stress this card out with this game. I put it on Ultra, and as long as I turned down the anisotropic filtering and the anti-aliasing down to 2 samples each, took it like a champ. Most of the time we hovered at 60 frames and sometimes dipped down into about 56, 54. I can't really say it's that bad. I do see that there's a low on it. I want to say that's thanks to the loading screens and sometimes loading the world when you're coming out from environments. Smooth gameplay all the way through, even in tight situations. Ultra high 1080p, pretty good. If you have some lightweight modern titles, I'm sure this thing can handle it, but I came to the realization that this card just probably isn't going to keep up with modern times. But if you're a casual gamer or you have certain games that are just comforts to you, this thing might actually work pretty well. That's why in the next one I actually chose Marvel vs. Capcom 3 for our test. On this we got 60 frames on average, a minimum of 59.9, a maximum of 59.9, a 1% low frame rate of 59.5, and a 1.1% low of 59.5 as well. We did not dip at all. I never seen a single little drop in performance, and I did this on all high with FXAA anti-aliasing and 1080p on borderless window, no less. So if this is like your type of gaming, this thing's pretty good for that. It kicked butt. One of the next games I decided to try was Hatsune Miku Project Diva Mega Mix Plus. Wow, try saying that 3 times fast. In this game, I don't really play it too often, but it's fun every once in a while. I love rhythm games. Put it on all high settings. 1080p once again. I chose one of the hardest songs for like effects. I did the disappearance of Hatsune Miku. Those notes come flying in. But even on one of the songs I ended up beating my record. So it was pretty consistent for speed, not really any drops. We saw an average of 59.8. We saw a minimum of 29.7. We saw a maximum of 60.4. Once again, for some reason, every game wanted to cap out at 60 even with VSync off. don't know why that is. We saw a 1% low of 57.9, and we saw a 0.1% of 1.9. But I'll tell you, it was a pretty smooth experience. I did not really see any lag or stutters at all. Last game I tried, and honestly one of my personal favorites, is Yakuza Zero. We did it at 1080p, had to turn it down all the way to low settings, still kept anti-aliasing on, but that was it. During the gameplay, we saw an average of 51.6, a minimum of 28.3, a maximum of 61.9. Once again, there it is. I don't know what's with the cap, no VSync. A 1% low of 32.2, and a 0.1% low of 2.6. Honestly, I would recommend trying to lower the resolution to 900p, and then you might even be able to keep a consistent 60 with a few of the graphics settings higher. However, this was more than playable. As with most things, everything has its time and its place. This card was definitely a card of its time, and for most people, it's probably not a card for most places. However, if you're looking for something that is cheap and you don't like playing many modern titles, maybe you're like stuck in 2013 for most of your favorite games, it could be a viable option, but I believe for the budget that there might even be some better cards out there than this, and also actually have a card that might be within the same budget as well, that might be a bit better, that we're going to do a video on very soon. So if you want to see that, maybe subscribe, hit the like. This has been Waltech, and I'm signing out.